Hi guys, it's Heather. So this video is basically a second part series of the first video I filmed a few months back called I Tried Etsy Ads for $5 a day for 30 days. And I really wanted to try out using ads for $15 for 30 days instead of $5 a day with Etsy ads. Now, with that being said, my first video on trying Etsy ads, I really didn't have that great of a strategy, and one of the reasons why is because I wanted to cater to the idea that, hey, if I put ads on 100 plus listings in my Etsy store, then will Etsy learn how to market my items for me without me having to really put work and trial out different types of products and listings myself. Now, that's just a theory that I heard on many different Etsy forums and other types of Facebook communities is, will Etsy ads work for you over time if you just let the Etsy algorithm see how they can sell your items for you and see what your top ranking items are, your top converting items, and then over the course of 30 days, will you start to get more sales over that time period? So with that being said, if you want to watch that video, it's going to be linked in the description below. But this video is, like I said, part 2 to that video. And this time around, I did use different strategies to see the results that we are going to go over today. And the results are honestly really surprising. I was kind of shocked by the results, and we're going to get into factors as to why the results are different than what I expected, what my expectations were going into this I'm going to go over as well. And the advice I have to those of you who are starting off with your own Etsy businesses, or you already have an Etsy and print-on-demand business running, and maybe you're considering using Etsy ads, but you don't know how to go about it. So without further ado, we're going to head straight into the video, guys. If you're watching this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell the YouTube algorithm that this video is one to share to other related pages and kind of to share results with Etsy ads. Unfortunately, a lot of these more honest videos don't get pushed out as often, and I think this is a really important video for a lot of people to watch, especially if you're a new Etsy business owner, whether you sell handmade products or print-on-demand products, what have you. This is a great video to watch, and I spent a whole heck of a lot of money on advertising, hopefully so other people don't have to if they decide that, hey, this is a pretty big risk of investment for new businesses. So besides that, we're going to get right into this. Okay, guys. So I did want to start off by telling you the different strategies I used per my last video and this video. So in the last video, I ran Etsy ads on many of my newer Etsy listings that I posted this year and on some tested and bestseller items that sold last year that I initially thought would sell again, especially with placing Etsy ads on them. Now, throughout the video, I realized that surprisingly, certain items that I would never have thought would sell ended up selling in that video, and that's something I may not have said during the video, but it was pretty surprising, the items that sold. I had one item that sold the most during that time period that had no mock-up on it, and it was actually a oops item that I put an ad on. It was one of my customization items that I gave to a customer in a link format, and then I had the ads running on it, and it had a white background. It looked like an Amazon product, basically, with the white background and just the product displayed. But that item actually sold and was one of my top performing items in that ad campaign. So that's what was really awesome to see with Etsy ads, is they will show you what items have the best ROAS. For anyone that's new to marketing, what ROAS is it is return on ad spend. Now, what a good ROAS generally is every $4 in revenue is $1 spent on ads. So with that being said, across all industries, a normal average of ROAS is $2 of revenue per $1 spent in ads. So that's more along the lines of a normal thing to expect, which can really eat at your profit over time. So you're going to see in this video exactly what my results were, and I didn't really go over this specifically in my last Etsy case study where I ran $5 Etsy ads for 30 days, but basically these are some metrics you really want to keep in mind as we're going along in this video, and at the end of the video I'm going to go over my ROAS on my top performing items as well. So speaking of ROAS, my new strategy was to take the top performing items to be advertised in this next 30 days of my Etsy ad campaign. And when I put $15 on all of my items, I put it on some of, again, my best-selling items during the last period and the last few months, and then also on the higher ROAS items. So anything that really sold during my first 30 days of ads, I kept the ads on. Anything that had a ROAS over a 2, I kept my ads on as well. Again, my second strategy is I tripled my ad spend. So instead of $5, it was $15 for 30 days. The third part of the strategy was to only advertise on more of my higher profit margin items. So generally for me, what I consider higher profit margin is a profit over $10. Although you will see later in this video, I did end up putting ads on a few t-shirts that were lower profit margin items, but not as many as the higher profit margin items, which was one of my most selling items during this period that I had the ads running. So with that being said, when we're talking about high profit margin items, that would be hoodies and crew necks. Low profit margin items discussed in this video is t-shirts. So hopefully that helps as we are calculating our profit, and I will go over my profit numbers during the video as well. So guys, now I have my laptop out and we are going to go over my statistics for the past 30 days that I have been running the $15 ads. So with that being said, you're going to see my statistics pulled up on the screen. As we go over this, we're going over order volumes, how much I spent per day, and then also the revenue that is a part of how much that you're seeing here. One thing to note before we get into this is I may be talking about views. As you can see on the screen that, you know, my ad campaigns have had 70,000 views, but the one thing that Etsy charges on is on the clicks. So the amount that they charge per click is usually based on how many views it took to get that click. So that's something to note as well as we go along in this video. With that being said, I did want to say that Etsy ads is changing a little bit. As I go down here, there is an area that says, tell us about your ad goals. So this is a new part of Etsy ads that they are introducing into Etsy ads now, where you can tell Etsy how you would like Etsy to best serve your store. So you can, if you want to, increase visibility and awareness, drive orders short term, promote specific items, take my sales up a notch, or maximize my exposure to help compete against similar shops. So for me, I want my sales to go up a notch, so I just selected that and I submitted that. So I'm excited to see how that works. Hint, hint, there might be another video in maybe January about me doing a third case study, but I'm curious how Etsy is going to change their ads, because I feel like we'll talk about it at the end of this video. We're going to get there at the end of this video, but first we're going to look at my statistics. So the other thing to note is that Etsy has an ad promotion running where they are giving 40% back in a discount on ads right now. So I just found that out today when I was filming this video. So I just increased my ad campaign budget by a whole heck of a lot. And I think I'm just going to keep it there, and we could just do a third video on this later on this year or next year. Y'all know one will probably come because I love these case study videos as much as some of you may like them. Anyways, let's get into this. So what I wanted to show first is the order amounts. So for this period, there were exactly 40 orders, and some of those orders had multiple items purchased. Out of this entire case study, I had one bulk order of 7 crew neck sweatshirts. So that was a really nice bulk order that I got during this period of time. Now, I will say that 9 out of the 30 days, there were no sales at all. And that was really great great to see in comparison to the last video I ran that had 21 days of no sales the last time I ran the $5 Etsy ads. So that's one thing to note, that my order volume throughout the month has increased quite a bit. However, I will say that is not the most important part of this whole case study. I think the goal, and this can go for anyone's store, the main goal of running Etsy ads is to, at least for me, see profit. If I'm not seeing an increase in revenue and profit, then there really is no point for me personally to run an ad. Another thing to note is in my $5 Etsy ads for 30 days, I had a revenue of $507.19. In this video, I had a revenue of $1,670.65. So that is a tripling of my revenue from ads this time alone. However, one thing to factor in is how much I spent on ads. As you can see, my ad spend was $437.85. In my last video, it was closer to $150. One thing to note as well is with Etsy ads, your maximum amount of ad spend per day can be slightly over the amount that you set it or slightly under. And the reason why Etsy does this is if they see more potential for you to get another sale, then they will increase it slightly. Or if they see that, okay, we're kind of at the limit, it's just not going to happen, or maybe you get a sale, they will stop the ad campaign if that's a good area. That's how the Etsy ad algorithm likes to work in order to prioritize you getting more sales and more revenue as a Etsy seller. So guys, we're going to do a profit breakdown here, and I'm going to give you all the numbers that I have used to crunch these calculations. So with that being said, I might be looking to the side here, and that's just because I'm getting the exact numbers that I wrote down. I even used like a whole scratch paper where I was just writing down like I was back in math class, because this profit is before ad spend. I don't want to get too confusing. So at the very end, we are going to subtract all of this profit from the ad spend, and that's going to be our final result of profit at the end of this video. So with that being said, I am factoring in profit per crew neck. So this is the average profit I get per crew neck I sell, per hoodie, per t-shirt, anything that I go over in this video. I am going to give you the exact profit, and that is after the 6.5% transaction fee that Etsy takes off of the full price that the customer pays. So if it's $39, Etsy takes 6.5% of that. So that's factoring into our profit today. So with that being said, during this time period, I sold 31 crew neck sweatshirts. The crew neck sweatshirts were $15.13 of profit on average that I got per crew neck sweatshirt. However, we're subtracting the 6.5% transaction fee off of my usual retail value of $39 to $40, which gets us at an average of $12.59 of profit per crew neck. So the crew neck profit was $390.45 of profit before we factor in how much we spent in ads for the 30 days. The Bella and Canvas t-shirt that I sell, I have a profit of $8.65 on average per Bella and Canvas t-shirt that I sell. So during this time period, I sold 5 Bella and Canvas t-shirts. So that is a profit of $43.25. During this time period, I sold 3 of the C1717 t-shirts, and that was a profit of $6.79 for those 3 t-shirts, which is a $20.37 profit. During this time, I also sold 4 of the Gildan 18,500 hoodies, and that was a profit of $7.75. So that is a profit of $31 before we consider the ad spend of this whole entire 30-day case study. So guys, the total profit that I had within these 30 days was $485.07 if we add all of those products up for, again, 30 days that I spent $15 on ads every single day. The ad spend in total was $437, which means that I had a profit of $48.07. Now that's after Etsy transaction fees, listing fees, processing fees, things like that. So with that being said, if we compare to the last time I ran this case study for $5 a day on Etsy ads, I had a profit last time of $27.01. So I know some of you may be in the same place that I am, and I wanted to go over my thoughts on this case study because it was very disappointing. And I feel as a expert on Etsy, where I have made it to this top 1% seller area in my time on Etsy, and I have a multiple six-figure Etsy store, that I would have had better results. Now, with that being said, profit is still profit, and I got a profit from this video. So I'm grateful for having a profit, and I don't want to sit here and be just, oh, this sucks, you shouldn't do Etsy, blah, 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 blah. Etsy ads are just not worth it, yada, yada. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I think Etsy ads are for a certain type of business owner. If you have a lot more maybe income and you have more ability to risk on Etsy ads, maybe it's for you. But my personal expectations going into this Etsy case study was to have a tripling of my profit. If I were to spend 3 times the amount of ad spend as I did from my original case study, I was expecting to have maybe over $70 in profit by the end of this case study. So I did come back disappointed with these new numbers. However, there are a lot of things that we need to factor in and give credit for in this video. I don't just want to say, oh, poor me, I didn't hit the revenue and the profit goals I would have expected during this case study. There are other factors and things to speak about that could have impacted these numbers. So with that being said, I wanted to address some things during this video that are factors into why I think that the profit was much lower than what I expected, and how exactly I may have done this differently, and what my thoughts are going forward with Etsy ads, and if they are worth it. I know that's a question that people have consistently had, and the thing is, Etsy algorithm, and like most algorithms, even if you're on Facebook and you're doing Facebook ads, all of these algorithms change over time. So the video I made a few months back is going to be different results because the algorithm is different now as well. Algorithms make tiny changes because Etsy wants sellers to have the most profit, most revenue, because again, that helps Etsy if they have really good marketing structures in place to get their sellers more sales, and in turn that gets Etsy more sales. So with that being said, algorithms change, but I don't think that was a factor in this entire scenario, and I'm going to go into why I think that as well. The first reason why I think that this case study did not meet the tripling of profit since the last case study is due to the fact that production costs and market prices have increased. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, I did not increase my pricing for doing this case study and factoring in that I'm running ads. I did not increase any of my prices when there was production fee increases across all print-on-demand companies. Most print-on-demand companies over this summertime have increased their production fees by $1 to $2 across the board of most products. That's something that I didn't factor in to this entire experiment, and I didn't think to even factor in as I was running my Etsy business. And while I was in the moment of, okay, market prices are increasing, I'm still seeing a really nice profit, I don't see the point in increasing my prices for this whole industry increase because it didn't really affect me. I was already seeing nice profit margins, and $1 added or taken away from my profit margins, it just didn't correlate in my head to increase prices. However, this is the big mistake that I made during this period of time, which is if I'm running ads, I do need to accommodate that into my pricing structure. Since market prices increased so much, I also had an increase in overhead and expenses during the month, which was my ad campaigns. And that meant that if I'm spending $400 to $500 in ads, then maybe I need to factor that into increasing my prices so I can have a profit at the end of the day. So with that being said, I have recently increased all of my prices by $1 to $2 to factor in that I'm spending on ads now, and that eats out of my profit in total. While I'm still seeing a profit in this campaign, I still need to increase prices across the board no matter what. So the second factor to address during this specific case study is that there was a transaction fee increase since the last case study that I ran. And again, that's another thing I didn't accommodate into my pricing when I ran this specific case study, is that the first time I ran the case study, there was a 5% transaction fee. Now, with that being said, there is a 6.5% transaction fee on all of the purchases that go through my Etsy account. So with that being said, that's an extra $1 to $2 to a few dollars that Etsy is taking from the profit that I get and see on Etsy. And that's one thing that I realized after I crunched all my numbers and looked at my results, is I never thought to increase my prices to make sure I still had a bigger profit at the end of the day. Now, the third factor to address in all of this is the state of the economy, and that people aren't buying wants now, they're buying really needs, and gas prices have increased. We're looking at groceries increasing in total costs and values, and just all across the board market price increases. And this is something that we really need to factor in the state of the economy right now, and why maybe ads might still not be performing as well. Although you may show items to a whole lot of people, the conversion rates on these items are going to be far smaller, just due to the fact that people are really just looking at items now, maybe favoriting and saving up for those items rather than purchasing right away. And that's something that I've noticed on my own Etsy store, on my students' and clients' Etsy stores, and that's just a part of this economy that we are currently in. However, I really suggest watching my recession video on YouTube, because that's where I go more into detail on how you can prepare for a recession or possible recession that we might already be in, and exactly how to overcome it, especially if you're a print-on-demand business, and why print-on-demand businesses generally really thrive through these periods of time. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but I truly believe that, and that video does help to kind of break it down and break down any worries you have with the current state of the economy. All in all, with these few factors that I mentioned, what I wish I did during this entire campaign is I really wish I increased my prices by a few dollars. So at the very end of this whole campaign, I realized if I want to keep running Etsy ads, I'm just going to increase my prices across the board and see if I still get sales. So with that being said, there may or may not be a follow-up to this video and me trying to correct my mistakes. So some of you at the end of this video may be like, okay, so Heather knows what she did wrong. What should she do instead then? What would she do to correct these mistakes? And going forward with my own Etsy ad campaigns, I've realized that I have a whole lot of information from running these ads for the past few months on Etsy, and through my marketing data has given me some really great ideas on what items sell and what don't sell. And now I'm looking to run ad campaigns on the items that have higher ROAS. So I have a few items that I'm going to show on the screen here, but there are items that have over a 4.4 ROAS and a few other items on my list that have over a 2 ROAS, which is return on ad spend, which is really good for my store and me getting sales over time. So with that being said, I'm looking to run ads on my higher ROAS items going forward. And then also I'm looking to increase my ad spend again. Now, if you have your own Etsy store and maybe you have proven items that are really selling for you, this is something to maybe consider doing. At the end of this video, the main question that everyone has, and I've answered this in my last video, but I want to re-answer it again because Etsy is always changing their algorithms. There's different ways to scale on the Etsy platform and how to get sales and profit at the end of the day. And that's what we all want. We all want to profit for our businesses. That's the ultimate goal. So with that being said, are Etsy ads worth it? And my answer is yes and no. And I don't think it's going to be a black and white answer. There's a whole bunch of gray in between in the answer that lies ahead for your store and anyone else's. Now, the one thing that I harp on my channel is that Etsy is an organic growth platform. You need to know how to organically grow in order to put ads on items, because if you aren't getting seen organically, then putting ads on items that you're not growing organically with may just be throwing spaghetti at a wall and you just aren't getting results. And you're most likely going to spend a lot of money on ads and not see any return on your ad spend. So what I suggest is if you have a store that organically grows and you are seeing sales on certain items, then you're seeing that market validation that you have the green light, you have the go ahead to put ads on your listings. If it was a past bestseller, maybe last year, and then this year your item isn't selling, that's a great indicator to put ads on that item because you know it sold last year. It may sell again this year. And if it doesn't, that's okay. You at least tried the ads. With that being said, I wanted to note during this video that I'm on YouTube and on this platform, and a lot of these things, a lot of these case studies, I spend a whole lot of money on these case studies to do them in a research mindset and to hopefully help those of you who may not have the expense risk that I do with opening an Etsy store and being able to spend $400 to $500 on ads. A lot of people don't have that. I didn't when I began, and it's very risky. You don't know what's going to sell, and if you don't have market validation on a product and you don't have products that scale organically by themselves, then you may be, again, throwing money away. And that's what I urge you not to do if you're on this channel, and organic scaling is really possible. I have a live training where I go over how to earn your first 10K with Etsy and print on demand. You can check that out down below, but I highly recommend watching that and really learning how to organically scale before you start using ads, because that is what's really important, is creating products that you know will sell. And you can't just put ads on products that you have no idea if they're going to sell. So guys, what I'm really getting at is when you put ads on items, you need to intentionally put ads on items at times as well. And you need to intentionally create designs and products that you have market researched and validated, and make sure that there is a demand for this type of item, that you're in a niche that people want to buy in. And I have a course that I go over how to create print-on-demand products that you know will sell and that you can validate. You can do your market research. You can find niches that people actually want to buy in. I have the Print-on-Demand Academy down below. I run this Print-on-Demand Academy on a monthly basis, and I only have so many students that can join. I'm reopening the Print-on-Demand Academy in January if you're watching this in December, where I'm going to have a closing of a cart period. But generally speaking, you need to be intentional in creating your products, because that's how you are eventually going to get those sales. Putting random quotes on t-shirts is just not enough in the print-on-demand and Etsy industry anymore. You really have to think outside the box and create things with intention. At the end of this, if you are a new store on Etsy and you may be sitting here thinking, are Etsy ads worth it, Heather? Heather, I just want the direct answer. And the direct answer that I have to give you is no, I don't think Etsy ads are worth it. I think you can scale on Etsy without ads. You can scale with social media. You can get an email list. There's so many other ways to drive traffic to your store. That's organic methods. You have sweat equity, and that is enough to grow a store by itself. If you don't know what sweat equity is, it is basically using labor and time in order to achieve results such as conversions and sales. So maybe you should look into organically scaling an Etsy store rather than trying to place ads on maybe 5 items that you just uploaded on your Etsy store without any market validation or research behind it. That is what I recommend to all of my students, all of my clients I've ever worked with. Try the organic method because that's the beauty of Etsy. There are so many ways to scale organically and create a 5+ figure store on Etsy without ads. That's how I did it. And to be quite honest, 90% of my sales this year alone were all organic. Etsy ads are not really helping my store. Sure, I'm getting maybe 30+ more orders a month with Etsy ads. But again, from these case studies, I really hope this shows you that you do need to scale organically through Etsy no matter what. And I hope that you use the free resources, my free training I have down below, and watch a bunch of my videos. I have so many videos on this topic alone. So hopefully this helps those of you who are starting on Etsy or have an established Etsy store. And I will see you all in the next video. Don't forget to stick around for that blooper reel because it's on its way. It is on its way. See you guys. I said that wrong. Let me repeat that. What ROAS is now for anyone who is new to marketing, what ROAS is, it is bleh, if that makes any sense. Or sorry, I'm going to go back on that. I feel like I'm really poorly explaining that, and it's not going to make sense to the subscribers. Let me go back to my script. I am off script. Where is my script? One thing to note is the views and the clicks, it really don't go, or really isn't a tracking. I guess, let me re-say that. Etsy charges you per click on your ad. However, the amount they charge is dependent on how many views a Etsy ad gets. And I'm going to repeat that. So I really increased my ad spend at the very end. Sorry, I'm going to re-say that. However, the Bella and Canvas 3001 is $8.65 in profit for, did I do that right? Okay. That is a profit of $31 total for that one product with, again, before, last time I ran the case study, there was a 5% transaction fee. As of this summer, there is now a 6.5% transaction fee. So, actually, I'm going to repeat that. What we're really seeing is that gas is all across the board. With that being said, if you're a new store on Etsy, I don't think Etsy ads are worth it. That's the honest, I'm going to repeat that.